All right. Thanks for joining us on the bright side. Once again, we're talking protein. Protein is the most important of all the macronutrients. Protein, fats, and carbohydrates are what we call macronutrients, the nutrients that you need in large amounts, grams and ounces. The vast majority of the dry weight of the body is protein. And protein, in my opinion anyway, is the single most important of all the nutrients, definitely the most important of the macronutrients. There's so many different aspects to protein. The word protein itself actually is derived from the Latin term for many forms. Proteus means many forms, and protein does come in many forms. We spent a lot of time talking about middle-sized proteins, intermediate-sized proteins. We call those peptides. We spent a lot of time talking about peptides, probably a week or more, for good reason. These little peptides are probably the most important chemical elements in the body. Later on, we're going to be talking about the building blocks of proteins, the amino acids, which have medicinal properties on their own. Today, I want to talk a little bit about larger protein structures, specifically very large proteins that are called enzymes. Everybody's heard of enzymes, but perhaps not a lot of people know exactly what enzymes are. We've got thousands of different enzymes. Every cell is packed with tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 different enzyme particles in a cell. And the cell itself is so tiny, you can't even see it with your eyes. There's 100 trillion cells in your body, but these little structures are like little animals. They got all kinds of molecules inside them. And among the most abundant of these molecules are enzymes, enzyme particles, enzyme molecules. If proteins are the stars of the biochemical drama, which we've said before, the specific proteins that we call enzymes, they're the superstars. They're the Brad Pitts. They're the George Clooney's. They're the kings of all the biological molecules. Interestingly, as important as these things are, as important as enzymes are, they require coenzymes, cofactors to work. Everybody's heard of coenzyme Q10. Coenzyme Q10 is a coenzyme. It helps enzymes work. Specifically, it helps the enzymes of energy production work, and that's why coenzyme Q10 is so important for the cells of the body that use lots of energy, the heart cells and the brain cells and the nervous system cells and the liver cells. These are all very dependent on coenzyme Q10 in addition to, of course, enzymes. Many of the vitamins, many of the little elements that we call vitamins are coenzymes, especially the B complex, which also function as coenzymes for the chemistry of energy like coenzyme Q10 does. I call enzymes matchmaker molecules. They pull things together. Like a matchmaker will pull guys and girls together so they can interact with each other. An enzyme pulls molecules together so they can interact with each other. This allows enzymes to function as catalysts. That means they speed up chemical reactions. By bringing molecules together, they make it more likely that these molecules will interact with each other, and thus they can catalyze or speed up chemical reactions. Without enzymes, chemical reactions cannot happen. Without enzymes, death ensues pretty darn quickly. In fact, the cessation of enzyme activity can actually be thought of as the definition of death. That's what death is. Your enzymes stop working because of enzymes, a tremendous ability to make things happen, in addition to being important for energy, in addition to being important for activity, in addition to being important for the digestive system. They're also important for a variety of various health conditions. They're essentially medicinal compounds. They're non-toxic, natural, gentle medicinal compounds. Unlike pharmaceutical medicinal compounds, enzymes have no side effects, no toxicity, and you can still get therapeutic benefits. We'll talk about that here in a minute. There's two kinds of enzymes in the human body. You got digestive enzymes. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. And then you got metabolic enzymes. Metabolic enzymes are the enzymes that speed up chemical reactions, metabolic chemical reactions, non-digestive chemical reactions. Digestive enzymes work by pulling apart molecules in food, allowing them to be processed more effectively. Metabolic enzymes pull molecules apart, or sometimes they'll put molecules together. Digestive enzymes are super, super important. We spend a lot of time on digestive enzymes because they're the most important elements in digestive health and therefore in the health of the entire body. We said this so many times before on the bright side. Digestive enzymes are not only important for the digestive system, they're multifunctional, and I love multifunctional. So an enzyme is a chemical with two little slots in it, two little openings in it. We'll call them slot A and slot B. opening A and opening B. Opening A holds chemical A, opening B holds chemical B, and when these two chemicals sit in their respective enzyme slots or enzyme openings, they're held close together so they can react, and every single chemical reaction in the body happens this way. Every single chemical reaction in the body, and there's countless trillions and quadrillions and quintillions of chemical reactions happening every second in the body, all of them require an enzyme. You think that's important, folks? Man, that's important. All the chemical reactions in the body, every single one of the zillions and zillions of chemical reactions in the body have an enzyme that's associated with them that allows the chemical reaction to proceed. Cells of the body make thousands, maybe there's 10,000 different enzymes, and for the most part, as we get older, enzyme deficiencies occur. Enzyme deficiencies occur slowly and gradually as we age and as our body slows down. In fact, many of the signs, the main signs of aging, which is just a general slowdown in the chemistry of the body, is dependent on the sluggishness or slowdown of enzymes. Thus, the importance of using enzymes supplementally. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You are listening to The Bright Side. We'll continue when we come back from our break. Our number, 855-660-4261. We're coming back at you right after this. Don't go away. All right, we do have one line open for you. If you want to give us a shout, 855-660-4261. We'll take your phone calls in our next segment. Just want to say a couple more things here about enzymes and enzyme deficiencies. You got about 10,000 or so enzymes in your body. As we age, our enzyme production slows down. This may be the cause of the sluggishness and slowing down that occurs with the aging process, even if we don't have a full-blown enzyme deficiency disease. And indeed, there are enzyme deficiency diseases, enzyme deficiency health challenges that can occur in everybody, including young folks, completely independent of the aging process. Under conditions of these diseases, chemistry in the body cannot proceed in a healthy fashion, and some of them can be pretty significant. All proteins start their lives as information in the genes. Genes code or make, if you will, proteins, and enzymes are no different. You can say that enzymes are made by genes. That's a bit of a simplification, but for our purposes here today, enzymes are made by genes. Genes do their thing, and what they do is pretty darn amazing. And I don't want to get into too much biochemistry here, but let me tell you something. How genes turn into proteins, which ultimately turn into us, is the single most absolutely mind-blowing aspect of biochemistry, and biochemistry is mind-blowing enough as it is, but the single most, in my opinion, the single most impressive, unbelievable, magical aspect of biochemistry is how genes end up becoming proteins. Well, enzymes are proteins, and genes turn into enzymes, and genes make enzymes, if you will. But sometimes genetic breakdowns occur, and enzymes don't get produced, and what the end result of that is what can be called an enzyme deficiency disease. And under conditions of an enzyme deficiency, chemicals don't get processed, they can accumulate, unprocessed chemicals can accumulate, and you end up with a buildup of unmetabolized, unprocessed molecules. As these unprocessed molecules build up, because you don't have enzymes to process them, they get stored in these tiny little bubbles in a cell. So you got these molecules, these little chemicals, they're not getting processed correctly because you have an enzyme deficiency. They get stashed away in little molecules called lysosomes, and these diseases are called lysosome storage diseases. And that basically just means you got these overfilled bubbles with lots of unprocessed molecules. You got these overfilled bubbles called lysosomes, and they end up filling up inside of cells. And not only does this mean that you're going to have unprocessed molecules, but you can end up with all of these big fat lysosomes in cells filled with unprocessed molecules. One of the more common of these types of diseases is called Gaucher's disease. And that's caused by a defect or a deficiency in a fat processing enzyme, and you end up with an accumulation of unprocessed fats. Jewish people of European descent are most likely to suffer from Gaucher's disease. Nerve issues, muscle issues, brain health issues, liver, kidney issues, these can all be associated with Gaucher's disease. Another lysosomal storage disease is called Fabry's disease. People with Fabry's disease suffer from burning sensations in their hands that get worse when they exercise or when they stress, or when they're under stress, or during hot weather. Sometimes people with Fabry's disease will have purple spots on their skin, or maybe have problems with sweat deficiency. The most common enzyme deficiency disease, and it is pretty common, is called G6PD. Now, I'm not going to tell you what that stands for because it's such a complicated, well, I'll tell you what it stands for, but we're just going to call it G6PD. It stands for glucose-6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency. We'll just call it G6PD deficiency, and this is a deficiency in a special enzyme that is involved in energy production. And this means red blood cells will suffer when you got G6PD deficiency. And again, it's somewhat common. You can't process sugar very well. You can't turn sugar into energy. G6PD is involved in turning sugar into energy. And when you're deficient in this, you don't make energy. And the cells that divide the most rapidly are going to be the cells that suffer the most, including red blood cells. Red blood cells are really burning sugar and making energy, working with energy a lot. And the major sign of G6PD deficiency is anemia, and a problem making red blood cells. Red blood cells carry oxygen to tissues, and people who have this G6PD deficiency disease suffer from fatigue and lethargy, and over time, it can ultimately lead to organ failure. The brain is using lots of energy, so if you got G6PD deficiency, you can end up with brain fog, you can end up with attention problems, confusion. If the kidneys are using energy, so people with G6PD deficiency end up with kidney problems. The immune system uses energy a lot, so people with G6PD deficiency end up with chronic colds and flus and immunity problems. The most likely folks to have G6PD deficiency, and there are millions, hundreds of millions, there's probably close to 500 million people around the world who have G6PD deficiency, and most of them are men, and many of them are African American men, and many of them are Mediterranean descent. In the United States, about 1 out of 10 African American males have G6PD deficiency disease. That's according to medicine.net. Because red blood cells, in a healthy body anyway, red blood cells are always being made, most folks won't know that they have a G6PD deficiency until they end up with some kind of stressor that puts a burden on their blood cells. Infections can trigger G6PD deficiency. You may think you're normal, you may not know you have this problem, and all of a sudden you end up with some kind of infection, and bingo, your G6PD deficiency kicks in, and you end up with some kind of anemia or fatigue or lethargy, or you can even end up with kidney disease or some kind of organ failure. Antibiotics can do it, prescription drugs can do it, chemicals can do it. One of the most common chemicals that can initiate G6PD deficiency symptoms is naphthalene, which is found in mothballs. And interestingly, there's a bean called the fava bean that can trigger G6PD deficiency symptoms. There's actually a disease called favism, which can cause an anemia that's very similar to G6PD deficiency. The fava bean is also called the broad bean or the horse bean or the tick bean. This bean contains toxic compounds that can put a major stress on blood cells, even if you're healthy. But if you have G6PD deficiency, fava bean toxins can push you over the edge. They can cause full-blown anemia symptoms. Fava beans are used a lot in Mediterranean cooking, and sometimes fava fibers and starches are used as flavorings or as excipients in processed foods. If you suspect or if you know you have G6PD deficiency disease, you may want to become a label reader. Read those food labels. And if you have problems with legumes or beans, same thing. Read those food labels and make sure there's no fava or no fava extracts in your food. Folks who are really sensitive to fava, even coming in contact with the pollen of fava beans can be problematic, especially if you have underlying health or digestive conditions that have not been addressed. All right. I want to talk about the digestive enzymes. I'm going to tell you some really neat things about those and how you can use them for healthy, beautiful skin. And we will do that on our next Bright Side episode. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We're coming back with your phone calls right after this. Don't go away.
The GCN Radio Network, providing the world with hard-hitting talk radio. GCN. Great talk radio starts here.
All right, we are back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for being here. We're here Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific, 10 to 11 Central Time. If you miss a program, head over to my website, brightsideben.com. We got an archive page with all of the Bright Side programs for the last let's see, 2.5 years. There's probably we got to be close to 200 episodes of The Bright Side, all packed with information. If you miss a program, you can review a program, or for you guys selling longevity products, if you want to direct any of your clients to the programs, head over to brightsideben.com and check out our archive page. And don't forget to check out our shopping cart with all the longevity products and the Join the Team link. If you want to start yourself a longevity business, just click on that Join the Team link. Of course, you can always call the Brightside Ben phone team at 866-735-2470. 866-735-2470. And don't forget to check out my blog, pharmacistben.com, which we update regularly with news stories as well as articles. I got an article posted, let's see, the last article I wrote, I think it was on lupus. I'm going to do one today on melanin, the darkening pigment, and so much more. Melanin is much more than just a tanning pigment. And I wrote a post that should be up today on pharmacistben.com. All right, 855-660-4261 is our number. Let's go to Wisconsin and talk to my cheesehead buddy, Frankie. What is up, Frank?
I'm going to be pulling on the second. All right.
Frankie, what are you doing, man? Do I got to put you... Frank? All right, I'm going to put Frank back on hold here. I don't know what happened to Frank. Let's see. We'll get you. Don't go away, Frank, because we'll get you here in a sec. Bill in Oklahoma. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, Ben, calling back with a couple follow-up questions. My wife kind of pressed me yesterday. You know, I called about her stomach cramps, and you suggested hitting the reset button and
Yes.
fasting.
Yes. Didn't go over too well?
But anyway, she's warming up to it. I got her listening to the podcast.
Okay, Frank, I'm sorry, Bill, I need you to speak up. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, can't hear me now.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah. I said my wife, she was concerned about fasting. I'll starve to death. But anyway, she's listening to the podcast, and I think she said she maybe let her warm up to the idea.
You know, I don't know your wife, Bill. Never seen your wife, but I can guarantee you 100% she's not going to starve to death.
Yeah.
That's a guarantee.
I'm with you on that.
All right.
Okay. She feels like her problem is she's had all three of her children C-section. She's had gallbladder removed. She's had hernias repaired.
Okay.
She's,
how can I help you,
like
Bill? I need a question. Put it like a question. Put a question mark at the end of your sentence, and let me help you out.
Scar tissue, would that cause that?
Say that again, Bill. You're fading in and out, Bill. You got to talk into the phone and loud because I'm having a hard time with you.
Yeah, I'm speaking right into the phone. I said she wonders if scar tissue can cause this cramping feeling.
Well, listen, Bill. You know, an angel dropping pixie dust from the sky can cause it too, but it's unlikely. Yeah, scar tissue may. Yes, anything can cause it theoretically, but the likelihood of it causing it is very, very slim. The likelihood of a digestive problem being caused by food is nearly 100%. All right? Okay. The likelihood of a digestive problem being caused by food is as close to 100% as you can get without being 100%. So you got to focus on food. Now, to say you don't want to fast, could it be scar tissue, sounds to me like that river in Egypt called the Nile. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
All right. So you got to focus on food. Listen, I know how I have my own food issues. I love certain foods. I know how hard it is. But if you're dealing with gas, you're dealing with bloating, you're dealing with some kind of digestive issue that could end up causing all kinds of horrific problems. And if she doesn't have a gallbladder, then she's at serious risk for all kinds of digestive issues and malabsorption issues that involve fats, that involve steroid hormones, that involve her estrogen. It's just a mess. She absolutely has to focus on foods. In addition to that, she has to spend as much time as she can focusing on fat absorption. Fat absorption, that means fatty foods and fatty nutrients and substances that help her absorb those fatty nutrients. She should be using vitamin A every single day. She should be using vitamin E every single day. That's 20,000 IU of vitamin A, 400 IU of vitamin E. Without a gallbladder, you are at grave risk for mineral malabsorption. Thus, the importance of liquid minerals and using those liquid minerals with digestive enzymes and fat absorption aids. This is something that you're only going to hear on the bright side. I haven't heard anybody else talk about this. You can't absorb your minerals effectively without bile and without a pristine, healthy fat absorption system. So she's not only at risk for malabsorption of fatty nutrients, essential fatty acids and fatty vitamins, but she's also at risk for malabsorption of minerals. These are very serious problems, Bill. This is nothing to trifle around with, especially if she's had 3 C-sections and she's got scar tissue and she doesn't have a gallbladder. Bill, I don't know how much more forcefully I can say this. This is a woman that is at grave risk for horrible degenerative diseases, and it is absolutely urgent. This is not a time to play around, that she starts to focus on foods, absorption of nutrients, and digestive system health. Get on the BTT. Get on the nightly essence. Use fermented foods. Use fatty nutritional supplements, that is vitamins D, E, A, and K. She should be on, I would be using essential fatty acids, the ultimate EFAs, and I'd probably be using liquid essential fatty acids as well, and using all her fatty nutrients with fatty foods, fatty meals, and fat absorption aids like bile salts, the ultimate enzymes, lecithin, pancreatin, and apple cider vinegar. This is very serious business, Bill, and I don't know how much more forcefully I could say it, but please, please, please have her focusing on that fat absorption issue and making sure she's getting her fatty nutrients and her minerals. BTT, nightly essence, healthy start pack, and all the fat absorption aids that we just talked about. Thanks so much for your call, Bill. Appreciate it. Frank in Wisconsin, what's going on, my man? Do we have Frank back?
Yeah, hey, Ben, sorry about that, buddy.
No worries, no worries. What's going on?
Hey, a bentonite clay mask.
Yes.
What would you put in it, and what, a toner? Would I use a toner first and then a mask?
I'll give you a good recipe for a bentonite clay mask with a toner in it, okay? Get yourself some bentonite, add water to it, and make a nice little consistency. It depends on how you like it. Maybe a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons of bentonite with maybe a quarter to half a cup of water, and just kind of stir it in. It'll make a nice little paste, and there's your mask. Now, then you want to add some stuff to it. You can add apple cider vinegar to it, and that'll give you a nice toning effect. You can add wine in it. That'll give you a nice toning effect. If you listen in on Monday, I'll tell you about a couple other things that you can add to your bentonite mask. If you get some vitamin C powder, you won't get the vitamin C benefits, but you'll get the exfoliating benefits of the vitamin C. You can break open a vitamin A capsule. You can put that in there. You can go on my website, sanitas-skincare.com, and get Vita-Rich Serum, and you can put some Vita-Rich Serum. That's a product I actually formulated for my mom, a moisturizer for my mom. It's one of the best moisturizers you could ever use. You could put a couple of drops of Vita-Rich Serum in there. Just be creative. Mash up a banana. Mix it in the bentonite clay mask. Just be creative, Frankie. Do whatever you think might be good. An avocado might be good. An egg might be good. Oatmeal might be good. Wheat germ might be good. You see where I'm going here? Just think of things that might be good on your skin. If you use oatmeal, you'll get vitamin E. You'll get protein. Very moisturizing. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do. But the core of it will be bentonite and water. Simply bentonite and water. Make a nice clay paste that you can use as a mask. Leave it on your skin, rinse it off, and just the bentonite alone, just the bentonite water, even without all those other additives, will give your skin a nice smooth texture. And listen in on Monday, we'll talk about other things that you can add in to your bentonite clay, or that you can use by itself in terms of topical skincare. All right, thanks so much, Frank. Appreciate it. We're coming back with more phone calls and more good health information on the bright side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Don't go away. We'll be back right after this. Back on the bright side. Rod in Florida, what's going on, my man? Welcome.
Hi, Ben. This is Rod. My wife had a acne attack that she said was brought on by her drinking milk, which was hormonal in nature. What do you think about those?
Heck yeah. Well, it may not have been the hormones, although it could have been. More than likely, it was the milk itself. Milk is very allergenic. Describe the breakouts. Were they... is it a rashy type of breakout? Is it on the cheeks or on the chin or the T-zone? Give me a little description.
Along the side of her side of her face, like her cheek area.
Okay, that's definitely an allergic reaction. This is how you distinguish the different types of acne. I spent maybe a month or so on the 7 different types of acne, and this is again something you're only going to hear here on this program because it's something that I discovered. And what I noticed after from working with skincare for many years, 30 years almost, I noticed that there's 7 different types of acne. The first and most important and most common type of acne is male hormone acne, androgenic acne, and that appears on the T-zone. The second type is adrenal acne. That's acne that's associated with stress in the adrenal glands, and that is also a T-zone type of acne. The third type of acne, digestive acne or food allergy acne, that is a type of acne that will appear non-T-zone, and it will appear rashy and kind of blotchy and will involve redness, and that's what it sounds like that your wife is dealing with. Very easy to address digestive acne. You simply eliminate the foods and it'll go away. That's all you need to do. Eliminate the problem foods. Milk is a big-time problem food, as is grains, eggs, peanuts, dairy of all kinds. Even whey protein can do it if you're susceptible. And then soy and legumes are also problems for digestive acne, but it goes away as soon as you eliminate the dairy. It could have something to do with the hormones in the milk. There's something in milk called IGF, or insulin-like growth factor, that farmers give cows to make them bigger, to make them produce more milk, and that is associated with oily skin and acne. So it could be the hormones, but more than likely it's the casein, which is the allergenic protein that's in milk, that's causing the problem. And then, yeah, go ahead.
Condition.
I'm sorry, say again?
What products do you have?
Digestive enzymes.
Products do you have to topically treat that?
Well, it's not a topical issue. It's an immune system issue. It shows up on the skin, but it's an immune system problem. It is not a skin problem. That's the most important thing to recognize about all acne. It's not a skin condition. It shows up on the skin, but it is not a skin problem. And that's why dermatology doesn't work. That's why dermatology is the dumbest, absolute most ridiculous section or part of all of medicine is dermatology, because the skin is not the problem, people, except for in rare cases with something called contact dermatitis. The problem with acne and the problem with skin conditions is usually in the immune system, the defensive system, and then things show up on the skin finally, but it's not a skin problem. So it's not a topical issue. If she wants to do something soothing for the skin or to accelerate the healing process, she can use topical vitamin C, which is very helpful, or topical zinc oxide, which can be very helpful. But I would be regarding that as an internal condition, and digestive enzymes can sometimes help with that. Thank you so much for your call, Rod. Got to move on. Got a whole bunch of folks who we want to talk to here. Steve in Oklahoma, welcome to the Bright Side. What's up, buddy?
Thanks, Ben. I'm wanting to get off some medication I've been on for quite a while.
Okay. I'm
not sure if you're familiar with, it's called Suboxone.
Spell that for me.
Suboxone, I believe.
Suboxone. That's a used for quitting smoking or anxiety. What are you using?
No, it's to help get off opiates.
Yes. Yeah, one of the components. I think one of the components in there. Well, maybe I'm wrong on that one. Suboxone is it's naloxone, I believe. It's that we talked about naloxone with Julia Shopik a couple of months ago. I'm pretty sure that's what you're talking about. In any case, you want to get off the opiates. A couple of things to think about. Let me give you a couple ideas, okay?
Real quick, let me interrupt. Sorry, I just want to be clear on what it is. The one I'm actually on it's a different version, Subutex, and it's the main ingredient is called buprenorphine.
Yeah, it's a morphine,
partial agonist,
opiate agonist. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's like a morphine derivative, and it blocks the opiate.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now here's the deal with it. You want to start using something called X-orphins. All right. So what you're doing when you're addicted to opiates, you're addicted to plant morphine-like substances. But you can get those same substances in grains. In fact, we talked about that yesterday a little bit. Grains are a source of these X-orphins. That's why they call grains comfort foods. So by using grains, you can get yourself some natural X-orphins, some natural Suboxone, if you will. Now you got to be careful, because you can end up addicted to the grains, and you can end up addicted to the opiates, the X-orphins in the grains. But as a temporary measure, measure to kind of wean yourself off of the Suboxone and help wean yourself off of the opiates, you can use these exorphins that are found in the grains, and then you're going to have to wean yourself off of the grains as well. But that can keep you from jonesing on the drugs when you're trying to wean yourself off the prescription drugs or from the opiates. Does that make sense? You got to be careful though, because you can get addicted to the grains too. But the grains will give you a milder form, much milder form of the of opium, and also much milder form of the Suboxone as well. Okay.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you understand that I was put on some of the strongest opiates over 10 years ago for a back problem, and that, like I said, that was over 10 years, and I've been on this for over 3 years, and I've tried, and it's the withdrawals are excruciating, and they last for months. It totally shuts down your life.
Absolutely.
And I just haven't found anything. You know, I eat very healthy and supplement and everything, and
you're going to have a difficult time, and there's going to definitely be some willpower that's involved, and you're going to go through some of the withdrawal symptoms. But as you're going through the withdrawal symptoms, by using the exorphins from grains, that might help you. Also using amino acids like GABA, GABA, that might help you a little bit. Have you tried that, GABA?
Yeah, I used it a while back.
Try the GABA, try tryptophan, another relaxing amino acid, and try glycine, glycine. That's another relaxing amino acid. That should be your main strategy, is relaxing amino acids to help kind of slow down. When you withdraw off of heroin or opiates or opiate-like drugs, what ends up happening, you get this rebound effect where you just get all jittery and anxious because now your body doesn't have the downers to stabilize all that energizing all those energizing chemicals in your brain. So using GABA, using glycine, using tryptophan, using magnesium, using 5-HTP, all of these can have a nice quieting, relaxing effect, anti-anxiety effect on those chemicals that are secreted when you withdraw from opiates and opiate-like drugs. All right, Steve?
Would there be any particular grains, the grains that you were talking about?
You mean strengths? Doses?
No, you said the grains.
Oh, grains, all grains. Wheat is especially high in the exorphins. All grains, though.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
All right, buddy.
All right,
thanks so much for calling. Appreciate it, Steve. Let's see, we get one more call in. Michael in Kansas. What is up, my friend?
Well, maybe you got a little PVC going on with the heart.
All right. Heart problems, premature ventricular contractions. Is that what you're talking about, PVCs?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the deal. Stress. You need to start relaxing. PVCs are associated with a sympathetic nervous system. That's your stress management nervous system. All heart problems, really, or many heart problems, I should say, are associated with an overactive stress management system. So quieting down the sympathetic nervous system. Remember, you got two nervous systems. You got a relaxation nervous system. That's called your parasympathetic nervous system. That regulates relaxation and resting and digesting and sex and just feeling good about life. And by the way, most of our nervous system energy should be parasympathetic. Unfortunately, because of our crazy 21st century American lifestyle, the foods we eat, the stress we're under, many of us are in sympathetic overload. And this will show up as problems with heart contractions and problems with hypertension and problems with arrhythmias and atrial fibrillations and PVCs. All of these are manifestations of an overactive sympathetic or stress response nervous system. So chilling out is the number one thing to do, and there's lots of ways to do it. Number one, oxygen, slow, deep, diaphragmatic breathing. That is absolutely the number one thing you want to do for all sympathetic overdrive issues, including PVCs and AFib and hypertension. Number two, making sure you're on a good nutritional supplement program, especially featuring nice relaxing nutrients like magnesium, for example, and amino acids like tryptophan and GABA, as we were talking about earlier. Get on the BTT, get on the Healthy Start Pack, make sure you're getting your Mighty 90, and stay away from any foods that trigger an allergic or an immune response. Stay away from pro-inflammatory foods. Avoid refined foods and trans fatty acid foods and all the processed foods that we love so much. French fries and chips and all those things can put a major burden on the digestive system as well as on the stress management system. In fact, everything we eat puts a burden on the stress management system, so caloric restriction and eating less is a wonderful strategy as well. Thanks so much for your call, Michael in Kansas. That's all the time we have for today. On our next Bright Side program, we'll continue talking about protein, and we'll tell you about how you can use enzymes topically on your skin to keep your skin nice and smooth and soft. That's it for me. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a wonderful, beautiful day. We'll talk to y'all later, folks. Bye for now.